Hello, welcome to Breakfast Central this beautiful Thursday, reaching you live from our headquarters on Wemco Road, Lagos, Nigeria. Should I give them the
Should have given them the exact number,
GPS location?
You know, post code.
Yes.
You should have told them who is going to be at the security post. You know,
from Wemco Road to the wall.
It's okay.
You're welcome to Breakfast Central.
They are coming to look for you, so that you know they will not know where to look for you.
It's fine. We're doing the work of the Lord. You're welcome to Breakfast Central, your #1 destination for all things good, the right place to start your day. We've got news for you, we've got insightful conversations, we've got brilliant analysis, and today, as always, we have quite a lot in store for you. So grab your coffee, sit back, relax, and welcome to the program.
Well, my co-host has said to grab my coffee, which is exactly what I'm doing.
We don't have time.
Oh,
okay.
Yes. You are welcome to Breakfast Central. Thank you for joining us this morning. It's a Thursday, lovely Thursday morning, a wet morning in Lagos. Regardless of where you are, we hope that the weather is favorable for you and that you're very excited about the stories that we're about to bring to you today. I am Olive MOD, and thank you for joining us. Well, I'm not very excited about the story that I'm about to share because I took it when we're looking at what Nigerians are saying. Gbenga took it for which way Nigeria, the whole country, has been talking about the poor, really poor results released by JAMB. Out of about 1.5 million students who applied for the exams scored lower than 200, which was such a terrible, result, such terrible cutoff. And here on the show, we shared students and parents who raised alarm, saying that when they did the year before, it was a lot better and that this year was terrible. Initially, there were those who criticized, like a certain man who said that they didn't feel JAMB because of any glitches. It was more of the nonchalance on the part of the students who were partying, TikTok, social media, were distracted, sort of taking the blame away from where it ought to be, and making the students the ones to entirely bear the blame. However, JAMB has officially taken responsibility. We can see here Professor Ishakoloyede explaining and taking responsibility. And he breaks down in tears at some point. But let's take a listen.
Accept the explanation I've given as the truth on this matter. I apologize and take full responsibility, not just in words. I want to say a big thank you to all of you, and may God bless us all. Accept the explanation I've given as the truth on this matter. I apologize and take full responsibility, not just in words.
And that is the registrar of JAMB, Professor Ishakoloyede, who broke down in tears whilst admitting to the errors that JAMB, that they had certain errors. In fact, there's a more detailed explanation of what happened and how their system failed them because they are trying to do certain updates, But I think very importantly is the response again of JAMB.
Who's the handler of JAMB? What's the meaning of man proposes?
Man proposes, God disposes. It has been established that a technical glitch affected 157 centers out of the 887 centers in the 2025 UTME. This was basically responsible for the general low performance of the candidates scheduled to sit sit for the examination in those centers. Now, in the following thread, they went forward to say, as such, all the affected candidates will be contacted to reprint their examination slips towards retaking the examination starting from 16th May to 2025.
I mean, the good news is they're taking remedial efforts, but let's take the... Okay.
No, we'll take the reactions much later when we're looking at what Nigerians are saying. But I think that a general sense of what this is first of all gross negligence, because you can't be the handler of such a body, and this is the response that you give to Nigerians. Man proposes, God disposes. It's a terrible way.
It's a slap on the face of millions of Nigerians.
Yes, bear in mind that this particular exam had lots of criticism. Unfortunately, reports reaching us is that a 19-year-old girl, Faith Timlane, died as a result of this. There were parents who remember the ordeal of them leaving their houses early to be able to get to the centers. So first of all, it was even very complicated enough for them to write the exams. There were criticisms surrounding that one, and now the results have been released. We need to leave God alone out of certain things. God had nothing to do with the failure here. God had nothing to do with system and structure that failed, because people did not do their due diligence. People didn't do the work they were supposed to do, and people need to be taking, to take responsibility for this failure, for the loss that we're experiencing.
And why was JAMB being so defensive the first time? Only for you to come and write, "Oh, God proposes, man disposes."
I think it's typically our Nigerian style, because yes. I don't think that they
saw
thought
the blowback.
Yes, I don't think they thought it would become this big of an issue. I don't think they realized how big it would blow into the situation. But because of the consistent push, they now finally had to respond. And I must really, really give kudos to Alex Onya, the CEO of Educare, because he was on top of it. He was raising awareness. He was recruiting parents, collecting and collating evidence from students as well. So kudos to Alex Onya. I don't think we're out of it yet.
Exactly. Let them do the remedial test, which I understand the date clashes with chemistry, the chemistry practicals for WAEC. So I wonder what they'll do about that again. But kudos to all of the people that raise awareness on this issue, and also to Professor Ishak Oloyede for, admitting it's very rare that you see the head of a government agency in Nigeria own up and take responsibility when things go wrong. So
but then the question now is that good enough, right? Because unfortunately, when there are actions, there have to be repercussions.
Consequences.
There have to be consequences. Thank you very much for that. People have died, or someone has died as a result of this. Right? There are people who have been depressed. Some children have been been thrown into depression because of this JAMB result. You will see parents saying their kids have not been
at his table.
Right. So the question is, do we have consequences? I feel like, again, because we're a nation that lacks, I don't want to use those exact words, but impunity is really one of our challenges.
Yes, and there are no consequences for bad behavior. So we see this. Most people will say, "Oh, he's done enough. He even cried on national TV." But in other crimes, you don't even need to tell him. People have handed in their resignation for lesser offenses or for lesser things that happened, or the authorities will take matters into their hand. I relieve him of his appointment that this is gross negligence. You should have done a troubleshoot of and tested the systems. You should have fixed the glitches.
Use students' life to
exactly. I was a guarantee that when they take this remedial examination, that there won't be glitches.
And what is even the guarantee that it only affected these 380,000
exactly.
people?
The number could be more out of 1.5 billion.
Because what we have seen is inconsistent statements from them. So it's almost like you can't trust what they're saying and confirm that it is true.
They need to do something about the handler.
No, they need to let go of that handler. They need to let go of that handler.
Doesn't have any public relations.
He may have better skills in the IT department or some other department at JAMB HQ, but certainly not on social media. Remember that some days ago, he responded to someone telling them, mind your language.
Olive, mind your words.
You're not a person. If it's your personal handle, say whatever you want, do whatever you want, handle it however. But you are representing a body, knowing that whatever you tweet, you're tweeting on behalf of that person. There's certain protocol that should be employed when it comes to handling social media. You shouldn't even put out anything relating to a matter if there hasn't been an official press release on it. So what should have been put out there should have been the official press release, and leave it at that. Social media handlers need to be trained on, because they are also crisis management. You are a crisis manager or you are a crisis starter. So they need to be trained on social media communication skills, how to put out fires, how to be empathetic. Their tweets have been lacking in empathy. The closest to empathy we've seen from JAMB so far is Professor Ishak Oloyede crying on TV. That's the closest to empathy we've been seeing.
They need to do better. Well, let's move on to other matters in our wake-up conversation this morning. This is one story that's been making the rounds on social media. 30% of Lagos State government workers on training abroad absconds, says the commissioner. That's what you call inside your japa, another japa inside. Wow. I mean, what were the conditions for giving them visas in the first place? Why are they being trained abroad? What level of management or what civil service cadre are they for them to be able to, leave everything you work for in Nigeria, in Lagos, and decide not to come back from your training? Or maybe they are taking extra lessons, more training. I mean, if 30% of trainees don't return, is Lagos State training program poorly managed? These are some of the questions we are asking. What does this say about working conditions in Lagos if 30% of your trainees are running away?
So just to clarify, the Commissioner for Establishments and Training, Afolabi Ayontayo, disclosed this during a press briefing on Wednesday in Lagos to mark the second anniversary of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu's second term in office. Now, he was responding to a journalist when the journalist was asking the state government about their goal for building a better workforce through international training. And this is them mentioning that it has been affected by the growing Japa syndrome, which is a slang, of course, used to refer to people leaving the country. They say while 70% returned, 30% failed to come back. According to him, a total of 23,420 staff members benefited from various training interventions between May 2022 and December 2024. Within the same period, over 185 training programs were organized, which cut across multiple cadres, skill levels, and thematic areas relevant to public sector efficiency. So, basically, 8,000 civil servants across various ministries, departments, and agencies have been granted study leave in the last year to improve their qualifications and skills. So, this is his own responsibility. He's the Commissioner for Establishments and Trainings. Their work is to ensure that these people keep up with global best practice. I mean, you saw the other day in River State where the River State lawmakers went there to observe legislative training, right? So I'm all for training abroad. If we see that there's a course that can benefit or that can teach, or help better I don't know about sending everybody, maybe send one or two people, let them go learn and come and replicate here, right? However, this is indicative of a much bigger problem. The fact that people are not happy with the quality of life that they have here, such that they will risk everything for an opportunity to step foot abroad. Once they do, they are gone.
I mean, what happens when you overstay your visa?
Did they tell you that they consider that? Every day we're hearing of people seeking asylum.
I mean, for people that are part of the Lagos State civil service, and for them to, give up everything. They have job security, they're guaranteed a pension, and for you to abandon that shows a level of desperation.
So there are two things. I'm also not going to excuse it because it is bad behavior. It is bad behavior for you to be taking with trust to another country because they're trying to invest in you.
I mean, for you to be taken means you're one of the best in the first place.
Exactly, means you're a staff employee. So for you to be selected, sent abroad for training, and then you betray the trust of your employers, and you also commit a crime because you are then going to overstay, most likely overstay, and become an illegal.
And you think the embassy will be happy to
Exactly. So that is a crime. We're not in any way, shape, or form excusing that. It is bad behavior.
Lessons for Lagos State since there's a new presidential policy on buying Nigeria. Please, next time, take your trainings to places like Ikogosi in Ekiti State or Obudu-Katoran. So if your staff want to run away, they can go to the beautiful country of Cameroon. If it's Obudu, if it's Ikogosi, you can go to Republic of Benin. Yes, Japa to African countries.
African countries, right? But then, I mean, as funny as it sounds, I think just a reminder
they don't need to go abroad.
Exactly.
They should do online training.
So
they should use the money to fix street lights and infrastructure.
So that's exactly what I wanted to say, that we now need to look for alternative means because the world is a global village. If there is a training happening abroad, you can facilitate it in such a way that whoever is the trainer abroad can do a Zoom session.
Do you know how many courses I've done?
Everybody in their houses will come to work, and whilst they're there, they will be connected, plugged into the system, and they will be trained there. So we need to start looking for alternative measures. And yes, we still need to train staff. I think organizations, employers of labor need to train their staff, right? This, again, is a wake-up call for us that people are not quite happy. And it's unfortunate because those Nigerians who have done this are part of the people that are giving us a bad name. It's why when
Very
every day you go to the embassy, the visa rules are becoming stricter because they think you're. So I will now live here.
People have messed
I'm
up
going
the
to another
opportunity
country.
for other people.
Exactly. I have a good job here. I have a good life in Nigeria. But then they start looking at me some type of way because Lagbaja and Olorun Toba had fled their own and overstayed their own visa. So we need to do better. It's, really not a good look for our country. And if you or anybody you know is planning to do that, please, I don't know.
Lagos state government used the Buy Nigeria policy. If it's necessary to train people with global best practices abroad, do it online. I mean, just where do you think I do a lot of online courses?
When do you learn how to be a broadcaster of global repute?
All this intelligence I exhibit on a daily basis, don't you think is from online intelligence?
I know it's from online intelligence. I know you are doing the work. So
thank you very much, my
well
sister.
done, well done. But yes, we need to do better, and the goal should not be to Japa. And I mean, if you want to Japa for whatever reason, we're not in a position to tell you to not look for greener pasture. But if you're doing that, it has to be the legal way and not the illegal way, because it's also a risk for you. The day they catch you from wherever you are straight back to Nigeria, nothing for you. You're starting from the scratch when you could have built a good life for yourself here. And also, it's not a good look for the country. But still speaking about Lagos State, reports we have are that Lagos State is looking to implement monthly and quarterly rent, which has come into the fore of conversations because in the past few weeks we have been talking about, not just us here on the show. We did have we had the commissioner of the commissioner of information came as well, but we've had a few people join us on the show to talk about the unfortunate exorbitant cost of rent. We had agents, we had lawyers, and everybody's talking about how rent in Lagos is ridiculously expensive. In response to that, they say Lagos is a mega city, everybody is moving to Lagos, so there's so much demand, and it's a bit difficult to regulate the pricing with the landlords as well, because these landlords, I mean, inflation is touching everybody, and there's always demand for their products.
I mean, for some of them, it's the only business they have, so they're also part of society. But if A doesn't take the house, B is there ready to take the house.
There's
a market.
I do think that this is a laudable initiative. Monthly rent, quarterly, I mean, outside Nigeria, people are able to plan their finances. So if, for example, I earn 200,000 naira and I get an apartment that says, you know what, we're going to charge you 1 million a year, right? And you're going to pay less than 100,000. I'm able to say, okay, when I get my 200,000, I'll remove maybe 80 or so a month for my rent, remove the one for feeding, remove the one for transportation, and people can plan their lives around it. So I think it's a great idea. I know that they are...
But I'm more concerned about the practicality of it. How enforceable is this?
So I know that there are people that have started this model. There's... Tunde Balogun, Olatunde Balogun, I know this.
Rent small.
Yeah, he used to do this, and we thought it was a great initiative as well for young people, because what he did with Rent Small was giving them the opportunity to, rent monthly and rent quarterly. And I know that they have a model that they have used. So I think that what the government should also do is to collaborate with individuals, organizations, small and medium businesses that have already started this, to be able to take their models. What they do is, they say to the landlords, you subscribe to a platform. So it's now, when you subscribe to the platform, I think you pay monthly. Whoever is managing the platform then manages the property for the landlord.
Facility,
So it's almost like you're removing your hand from it. There's a management agency that handles it.
If government wants to set a precedent, they should build mass housing and then use this as a pilot, because you are not going to, or they should have private and government partnerships in order to drive adoption.
If they can enforce it into legislation, I don't know how that is going to work. It's possible. I mean, the Section 1 of the Land Use Act, first of all, will tell you that all land belongs to the governor, the governor of the state. So I know the government can still work a way around it. And first of all, I want to applaud the government for thinking of ways to be able to mitigate the unfortunate harshness that rent has cost people in Lagos.
Absolutely. So kudos to Lagos State government. We'll see how this works, and landlords should please also bear with millions of Nigerians, millions of Lagosians. The economy is taking a toll on many people, and we want you to do your business with a human face.
Yeah, and also to just use this as an opportunity to ask people if this is an initiative they're excited about. Because I remember seeing this on a post on Instagram, and the comment section, people were saying, no, please leave it at yearly. We're okay like this. Some people were not very excited about it because they're worried about the fact that if it becomes monthly, the overhead would be slightly more. So, for example, if the rent for the apartment was 1 million a year, they would typically pay maybe 80,000 a month, but because it's now monthly, they'll be made to pay 100,000 a month. So it will mean more for them in the course of the year, but it will just help them to be able to plan their finances better. But let us know what you think about this. Are you excited about the possibility of paying monthly rent, quarterly rent? Unfortunately, we're still talking about this, and some people are still collecting 2 years' rent. There are laws around that, and if you'd like to find out what the laws are saying, we've had a lawyer and a real estate agent on the show to talk about it. So check our previous interviews here on Breakfast Central when we dealt with the soaring rent prices in Lagos.